I'm Eric O'Keefe. I'm here with Mike Williams, and Mike is another client of Lynn Coffey, and he has had website work, design, set up, done by her, and a couple other things too as well. And he's here to talk about his experience, his story, what the website's been able to do for him, and everything else in between. So I appreciate you taking time to come on here, Mike, and talk about this. It means quite a bit for us.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so let's kind of just get the background info out of the way. Let's talk about, I guess, where you were, like what were you doing website-wise before you ended up hopping on board and having Lynn take care of everything for you.
When I first started developing our website, I had no idea where to start, and I was looking at some local companies, and I honestly, so my biggest problem is I didn't know what I wanted. I wanted it to look really cool, and then being into fitness, I had, and there's what appeals to me, and what I thought would look really cool on a website. And then I ended up going with a local company, spent somewhere between $4,000 and $5,000. They built a site out, and it was neat, had a ton of information on it, but it wasn't, I didn't know it at the time, but the site wasn't functional. And over time, I was never getting leads from the site. It was there, and yeah, people would visit the site and like, oh yeah, I saw your website, but nothing came of it from there. They would get pricing information or schedule information or just general information, and but there was so much noise on the website, but I thought more was better. I need to get more on there, and it was too complicated, and people would kind of click through it and get out of it. But it took me a long time to realize that, and then and I forget what, but I initially saw some video with Lynn, and she was talking about like just the functionality of a fitness website, and realized that whatever her top 10 don't do things were, probably had 8 of them. So everything was going wrong. I'm like, wow, it's not working. And that was for me, it was just a really big eye opener, because I had all the things that she said not to do. I was doing all of it, and clearly it wasn't working because I wasn't getting leads from my website.
Right. And so it was one of those things, like, it looked cool, it appealed to you, right, to your ego, but it wasn't really what was serving, your clientele or your potential clientele.
No, it was. I was probably turning away more business with my website without realizing it.
Okay. And so you reached out to Lynn to have things set up. Kind of walk me through that process. Like, what was that like? Was it easy? Was it, a challenge? Like, what was that like?
It was super simple. So it was really cool. She walked through. So we did a review of my site. It was a brief call. It was less than 30 minutes. Just kind of walk through, what she thought was wrong, what could be improved, and some of the things, before I ultimately decided to go with Lynn, some of the things were so minor and so quick that I had like a number of issues addressed within the hour, and how it could make the website better and how it would be more functional. As something as dumb as it sounds, of using like an opt-in, a better opt-in form. But that was something that I could fix, and just the whole thought that nobody wants just to be added to another newsletter and get more email. Like, hey, sign up for more email, and like nobody wants that. But that was what I had out there. And so when she kind of flipped that on me, I'm like, wow, you say it that way, it sounds kind of stupid the way I have it set up. But something like that was a pretty simple fix, but it just made sense, and she didn't like overly try to pressure me into it. So there was it wasn't sales at all. It was very informative. Clearly, she was very knowledgeable. She had a background in fitness, and so she really understood like what the customer was looking for versus what she's very aware that there's two different perspectives. There's what the business owner thinks works and is a fitness business, and what a potential client's looking for, and they're just not the same thing most of the time. And she helped me bridge that gap, and wow, what a difference.
Well, all right, so tell me about that difference, right? So now that the website's up, you have things kind of put in place, what types of differences have you noticed?
I think it was somewhere in the neighborhood, and I don't remember off the top of my head, but it was somewhere between 40 and 50 leads within the first 4 to 6 weeks. So in the first 4 to 6 weeks after she redid my site, I had more leads than I had in the previous 2 years off my website, and I continue to get them. Just so like 5 leads off my website that's kind of a bad week, but it's out there, and but it's so much more effective if people like right as we were getting on this call, somebody else added themselves onto my list, on my email list. That stuff it didn't happen before, and it's just, So essentially, as I have a tool that's out there, like it is the face of your business. It's your digital footprint, so to speak, and it's out there and it's working for me as opposed to working against me when I had paid all these thousands of dollars for this site to get built out, and you can't even think. It doesn't even make sense that it's working against you and it's actually repelling business. That was just such an eye opener.
And have you noticed too that this site, I haven't seen the sites, I haven't seen the one before, but the one that Lynn has been able to do has been able to maybe showcase more of the personality of what your business is like than what the other things that were out there?
Yeah, so so we evolved as a business, and the site hadn't been updated and it didn't reflect that, and so it didn't effectively communicate sort of what we were all about as a business, and it put off, I said my old site put off an image of and it really wasn't very reflective of what the business was, and but working with another company, I was having a lot of difficulties in making some of the updates, and doing what I needed to be done. And with Lynn, it is super simple. That could not have been any easier, and so that alone for me was worth it.
Do you feel that go ahead.
As I evolve or if something changes, making changes with Lynn significantly easier than what it was prior to.
Do you feel that she's kind of in a way, correct me if I'm wrong, or this is the wrong phrase, like a partner in the process with you instead of just like a web developer who's creating something for you?
Oh, without question. So the really cool thing is that, like, let's say I have an idea of what it is that I want to do. Like, I can actually bounce that idea off of her because that's what she does, fitness websites. So I can, hey, here's what my end goal is. Here's my approach. What do you think? What's the best way to go about it? And she can point me in that direction as opposed to, it's supposed to be one of those things that I think this is what I want. Hey, just go do this for me. And so they very much so a partner, because if I can just explain to her what I'm trying to accomplish, there may be a better way. And, I am not the tech dork. I'm not going to know that. And chances are I'll mess it up and probably crash my site. So.
And very different from previous experience, right? Where, okay, this is just you kind of throw out an idea and they'll just put something up, is when, as you mentioned, she'll make things and adjustments that she knows are going to be the best bet for you, not just because she thinks it looks cool. It's like it's going to actually work for you.
Yeah, so funny is kind of a dumb example, but I had, when I first implemented an opt-in form on my old site, so our colors are black and yellow, so I had a black background on the website, and in putting in the opt-in form, the company I was previously using put the opt-in form out there with a white background. So my color scheme was black and yellow, and it's this big giant eyesore right dead in the middle of the screen, and it just looked awful. And that's not what I wanted. I'm like, well, it is what you asked for. Like that's something as dumb as that is, and I was incredibly annoyed when it happened. Something like that, like she would just know already, and you would think it would be basic, but it was like, you asked for A, and A is what you got, and it's not that way with her. Very, very intuitive.
Yeah. So there's a support that's there, but a guidance is what you're saying as well. That wasn't there with anything else.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Now, in terms of how this is all working, like you've seen the results, you have the support. Now, let's say there's somebody who's listening to this and they're maybe in a similar situation, right, to where you were with your site, and they're looking for people, and I hear your story about what Lynn's been able to do for you and how she's been very helpful, but they're on the fence. They're not sure if this is a good bet for them. What would you want to tell somebody who's on the fence and say, this might be a good fit for you?
So it's, for me, a big part of it was I didn't know what I didn't know. She is really, really good at this. Lynn is very humble and very unassuming. She is fantastic at what she does. And so the chances are, like, we're all, my profession is not building out websites. It's not what I'm good at. I can go out there and learn how to do it, or I can just work with somebody who's already fantastic at it. Why on God's green earth would you want to do it yourself or go a different direction? It makes no sense to me. Very affordable option compared to what's out there. There's a lot of places that would charge you, 10 times to build your site, what she charges, and they'll never give you a fraction of the value. And it is an absolute no-brainer. Huge huge turnaround for my business.
That is very cool. Very cool. Mike, I appreciate you coming on, sharing your story, your experience, and I think it's been great to hear not only how the website's been able to help you with the business, but also the simplicity, how things are simple, and how she's been able to help you with all that. And I just want to wish you continued success with all of it moving forward.
Eric, thank you much.
All right, man. Talk to you soon.
All right, we'll see you.